Hey everyone, this is Robert, and thank you very much for tuning in to the podcast. And I hope everybody is staying safe out there. And we have been getting a lot of rain here in LA as of late. It's just been, we've been getting some crazy weather. I mean, we've got a blizzard for like the first time in decades, I think. So yeah, but all of that is said and done. I haven't done one of these in a bit, so to make up for it, I have somebody who's been in the business for about 25 years. We were doing a little bit of talking beforehand, but we have Rick Sellers in the corner with me today. Thank you for
Hey
joining me.
guys. Hey, how are you? Robert, it's great to be here and welcome everybody that's out there in VO land.
Yeah, so you've done a little bit of an intro before we actually started recording, but for those of you out there, for the people out there who want to know a little bit more about you, would you care to give a little bit of a refresher or just,
Sure. Yeah,
yeah,
I'll give you
everything that you do?
the nickel tour of my career.
Yep.
I've been in voiceover for about 25 years. I started off doing local commercials in the Ohio area. I put together a character voice demo and I sent it off to an agency in not too far from me called Safeman and Richards. And at that time, they just picked up a brand new account for the General. Now, back then, it was the General, A1 General, and Permanent General. There were two different companies, and they had a spokesperson that was the little character you see there, the little general character, for the best car insurance rates in town. And they wanted me to sing the jingle. Now, at the time, I had never sang. And I'm like, they have a contract for me, and they told me how much money they were going to pay me, and I'm like, okay. And I had to learn how to sing the jingle. So that day, I signed the agreement, and I did, I think, four radio spots, two TV spots, and sang the jingle. And it was, that was 1998. I've been doing it ever since. So, I've had a 20-year run as general, and that's been a great kind of source of both income and pride for me because national campaigns are awesome. And I also do a lot of work for Hasbro Toys. I imitate most of the Transformers movie characters for their electronic line of toys. So when you see Optimus Prime from Hasbro, it may be Peter Cullen, the actual voice, but on occasion they'll have me do it. So I'll come in and do the Autobots transform and roll out, or I'll do Bumblebee, or I'll do Man. Prime, come here, you fool! I'll never forgive you, Prime. Um, I get to do all kinds of fun stuff, as well as animations for American Greetings. They have little e-cards and audio cards that are paper, and they have a speaker and a chip in them, an audio chip, and you can record songs or voices or a combination of songs and voices and music, all kinds of cool stuff. And I've been doing that for a long time, probably since around 2007. So I've done thousands of those audio cards where I'm talking polar bear or a singing birthday cake or a angry nun or Santa Claus or all kinds of stuff. Um, and I also do work for other toy companies. I do a lot of work for Think Up Inc. They they are a development company. They do animations or sizzle videos for major toy companies like Mattel, Hasbro, things like that. And it's all CGI, it's all computer animation. And then they'll send it to me dry with no music, no sound effects, no voice. And then at my studio, we add the voiceover, we pick music for it, and add sound effects, audio for that 2 minute presentation, and it's a lot of fun. I totally love doing stuff for Jurassic Park or Batman or Superman, Lego stuff, all kinds of crazy products, and it's a fun gig. And I have three different agents all across the country, and they send me auditions daily, and I'll get an email with a spot for Pepsi or a football spot or uh, a ton of different things, lots of food, and that's primarily what I do. I get the email, I look it over, find out what they're looking for, and then step into the booth, which is right behind me, and do
Same
my
here.
thing, and then yeah, and then send it off. I had my booth built. It's custom built. It was like $5,000 to do it. and I use a Sennheiser 416 for my microphone. I also have an SE2200. It's a cheaper microphone, but I use it on occasion. But the 416 is the workhorse, and that's my preferred go-to mic. And other than that, I'll get clients that will contact me, and they're looking for voices for a particular project, so I will cast them. I'll put an email out to people that I've worked with and new people as well, and I explain what the audition is, whatever all the details, and send them the copy. They in turn will send me their audition. I put it into a folder and send it off to the client. The client picks who they want, and then I go ahead and select the talent and set up everything, and we make it happen.
Yeah,
That's the
that is
majority
awesome.
of. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it took a long time to make real money in the biz. I mean, a lot of
Oh
people think
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, that people think when you grab a microphone and get yourself an interface and some way to record, and you're going to make $1 million doing cartoon voices. Well, it doesn't quite work that way. Usually, you have to put the time in and make those connections and those relations and build on that. And then eventually, if you stick with it, you can make money. But it is a business, and it's really you've got to watch your P's and Q's. You got to make sure that you are paying your taxes and making sure that you're saving everything for your write-offs at the end of the year, because that can save you. I mean, you can make not a lot of money and have to pay taxes on it. A lot of people don't realize it. I think when I first started, I think one year I made $11,000. It was nothing, and I still owed taxes. It was like $1,500 in federal taxes, and I'm like, I only made $11,000. How is that possible? But they want their money, so be prepared to be both a business person and a creative person, because you have to wear two hats to do this job.
That is something that, it's really great that you touched on that because for a lot of guests that I've had on the show, we usually discuss like for voiceover because definitely can't attest to what you said, and I wholeheartedly agree because this is a business. It's show business for a reason, and um, like learning how to be a good business person is something that like I mean for me when I first started out, it's something that like I mean it's totally fine. Like I know that when you first start out, like you just start out because you just find the idea of performing in front of the microphone fascinating. And then when you really get into the nitty gritty, it's there's a lot more that goes into this, like taxes, especially if you live in a big place in a large city like LA, learning how to budget, finance, um, and take care of what your like electricity and stuff. So it's like not only are you running your own business, because all of us are running our business, and it's learning how to, you know, take care of yourself financially because yeah, a lot of because investing in a career like this, it's not easy. I mean, it's much easier said than done, but getting into the real, like, the behind the scenes stuff where it's like, you still, because like you said, you made like 11,000 and still got to pay the taxes. So
Still had to pay
it's
them.
no, yeah, yeah, no joke, yo, no joke.
No, it really is. The fun part is being able to go into the booth and record funny voices or character voices for
Yeah.
projects. But the reality is that you have to be your own engineer, which means
Oh,
that
mhm.
you have to learn how to use the equipment, the DAW, the digital audio workstation, that whatever you're using, whether it be Reaper or Cakewalk or Pro Tools or Audacity, whatever, there's a learning curve, and you have to learn that. And I found personally, I am a voice talent first, and I can engineer well enough to do it. But if I have a project that requires a real engineer, I have a friend that I've worked with for 25 years or so, Wes McCraw, and I'll go there. He's a top notch engineer, and I'll have him do the majority of the heavy lifting because, uh, frankly, I'm not that good at the engineering part of it. So I want to make sure that the audio that I record and submit to the client is broadcast quality. I want to make sure that it's top of the line, because you can't submit subpar audio for a national spot. If you do, for very long. So your audio is important. If you don't have good equipment, if your room is not treated and you have a lot of ambient room noise bouncing around or room reflection, that counts against you when you're auditioning. I mean, when I get an audition in and I can hear tons of reverb from it, the sound bouncing around on wood walls in the room, I have to take points away from that person, even if their performance was good. If the audio is not 100% up to par, I can't use it, and certainly won't submit it to the client because they're going to say, "Why did this guy record on an iPhone?" Well, and I've had that happen. In fact, I've done that too on occasion. If I was really rushed, I've had clients call and go, "Look, we have 5 minutes. Can you record this? Can you do Yosemite Sam?" And I go, "Yeah." "Can you record it and send it to us? Can you pull off and record it on your phone and send it to us?" And I went, "Okay." And I've done that. And occasionally it does work and you get the gig. But ideally, you want to have really good quality audio. If you're a voice actor, the better equipment you have, and if you know how to use it, that's going to behoove you. So I would say learn everything you can about the craft if you're interested in becoming this. There's a lot of aspects to it.
Yeah. And I know that it's especially the case with, the industry has been, and I've shared this before, but ever since we've been into we're 3 years, wow, like 3 years into this little pandemic
Lockdown.
thing, lockdown
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, everybody, we've all been, I mean, we kind of had our own home studios, like we've had our booths, like even before all this, but I think this is kind of after COVID, I think VO work has kind of expanded, it's just really started exploding, after the pandemic. I know that we've been the option to record remotely is something that has been um it's something that is a lot more common than it is beforehand, because before, I remember that you had to go into a studio
Yeah.
for auditions or just go into a studio for sessions, but now it's and especially if you don't live in a big city like, I don't know, LA or Texas or New York, everybody's just been recording from their home. I mean, I know um that there is the option of going back into a studio, and um I'm not really the best person to I mean, I do my research, but it's definitely something where it's for people that are in smaller, if they're in a small town and some studios only have the option of you to go inside, doing it in person. For me, it kind of limits opportunities, because if you live in somewhere like Ohio but then you have to come down to Texas, that can be a bit it might be a bit of a pickle. So that's why recording remotely has kind of been honestly, in my personal opinion, it's sort of it's a lot more convenient, even though you still have to learn the technical stuff, like being your own engineer, like you said. But for the most part, um, I've seen a lot of voice actors really just they started in the pandemic and they've really started um taking off. They've really got their names out there and they grew, but it's not something that they've done overnight. It takes a long, I mean, sometimes it can take a long time to really get established. And everybody's journey is entirely different. Whatever works for this person may not work for the, so what works for person X, person Y is going to have a completely different journey from person Z. So, and
Well,
that's why
that
I
is
say,
true.
yeah, yeah, that's why I say surround yourself with a lot of people who are if they come from different backgrounds, because I just usually say this, if everybody started off completely the same, if they have the same beginning or the same paths, then it would just kind of be boring. So surround yourself with people who started off with different, like their paths and journeys are different. So that's why I like surrounding myself not just with people who are in the business, but surrounding yourself with people who are not just for VO, but who do art, who make content, producers, people who work outside of the business. and you just don't know when inspiration will strike you whenever you talk to people who are just like they have all in a lot of interesting stories and they just have so much like nuggets of wisdom to share, and that's why it's just I think that's my big piece of advice. It's surrounding yourself with creatives who are just as passionate and eager about anything that you're doing. Just doesn't matter which field you're in, surrounding yourself with eager creatives, and yeah, connections is important.
Absolutely. Making those connections is really going to be beneficial for anybody. Because, the people, if you're dealing with other creatives, they have projects that they're working on, they may need voiceover. And if you're a friend or in their circle, you may get the call and you might be able to do the work. When you're starting off, you're not going to make a lot of money. A lot of the projects you're going to do are going to be local commercials, radio and television. They don't pay a ton. It's usually non-union work. Uh, but if you stick with it and you're passionate about what you do and you learn your craft, you become a good actor. Because when it comes to voiceover, really, it's less about how good your voice is and more about your acting ability. Can you bring that character to life? Can you sustain that character while at the microphone and deliver a performance that in that character's voice and really make it come to life? And if you can, people are going to work with you. They're going to enjoy working with you. And don't be a problem. That's my biggest suggestion to anybody out there. Be a problem solver. Be ready to jump in and help. Don't be persnickety, somebody that's difficult to work with, because nobody wants to work with a jagged little pill. They want somebody that's easy to work with, laugh, have a good time, but get the job done. So that'd be my advice.
Yeah. So going back to so when you first got the gig as the general,
Mm-hmm.
and actually I was wondering, what's your like start? How did you get started? Like what's your little VO origin story, so to speak?
Okay, I was a commercial artist for about 12 years before I switched over full time to VO. And I did freelance for American Greetings. Their corporate are here in Cleveland, Ohio. And I did a lot of work for them. A lot of times I would do what's called in-house work, where you're hired for the day to come in, you use a drawing table, and you get a project to work on, and you're drawing all day. But while I would be drawing, I'd be doing crazy voices, and there'd be people around that would hear me doing Optimus Prime or Megatron or any number of cartoon characters. And one day, one of the head higher up and said, "Hey, we have a video we're working on for a new pitch for a toy idea. We want to pitch it to Mattel. Can you do the voiceover for us?" And I said, "What's it pay?" "And we're going to pay you X amount of dollars." And I went, "Holy shit, that's great. I'll do it." And I went in and did it, and it was a big hit. Got the call. And after that, I would write a demo, create a demo, and I did. I think the very first one I did was with Magnetic North, which was I sent that demo out to advertising agencies in the area, in the tri-state area, like Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Columbus, and I started to get calls for voice work. And that was the very beginning. And after that, years later, uh, I would get the general, and that would put me on the map. And then once Shaq signed on board with the general, that became a union gig at that point. So I had to join SAG-AFTRA. And once I did that, I was really able to make big money. And so I was able to, and I got health insurance and all kinds of benefits. So a union gig is a great gig, but I would say any more, about 70% of the voice work that you're going to get in is going to be non-union. So the 30% of union work that is out there, it's very coveted, and it's highly competitive. Everybody wants to get those gigs because they're so difficult to land. Uh, you know, it is a community, and we try to help one another and encourage each other. But it is also a business, and it's a competition to a degree, and everybody wants that gig, and you know they'll do what they got to do to get it. So Be prepared to bring your A game whenever you're auditioning.
Oh yeah. And I know that in the business, I know there's a huge emphasis on conversational reads because I know that back when, um, when you first started out, like if we're going 25 years ago, I know for animation, I know that everything it's changed now, but I think it went from how many is being a versatile actor, how many different voices you could do, but now it's more definitely all in the acting, like more conversational and more um not like those Sunday, 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 like come on down, or those type of announcery reads, but it's more like actually talking to somebody and more it's basically like it's like you're watching a TV show or you're watching a movie where it's more like the actors are just talking to, regular people. So I'm just kind of curious. I wanted to ask you from your own experience. I'm not sure if you can speak upon everyone, but how much would you say that the industry had changed in the 25 plus years that you've been working in it?
Well, when I grew up, the voices that I would hear on television and radio were exceptional voices that were announcers. They were trained. A lot of them were radio guys that made the transition to television. And most of you heard their voice, you knew it immediately. You could tell who Paul Frees was as soon as you heard it. And there are
Oh,
other guys
freeze.
like that. Exactly. Paul Frees is one of my favorites, and I love doing the Paul Frees
Yeah.
imitation. And I am hearing a shift now. During the pandemic, every audition I would get in would say nothing too slick or polished or announcery. But if you watch television, and I'm a student of it, I have to be because I need to know what kind of voices are being and what's out there. I'm hearing a shift. It's now gone from a 20-year-old girl doing a Ford commercial to a man with a deep voice, which is the way it was for generations. And the pendulum had shifted. It had gone one way to kind of like we're looking for regular people optional voices, but I'm now hearing that change, and I'm hearing more established announcer style voices a lot, and women, and I'm hearing old school announcer females where they have a very rich, buttery voice, not the 19-year-old, I'm not changing. So, but who knows? The television, the commercial broadcast is always in motion. It's like an ocean. It's kind of going up, it's going down, it's moving around. It depends on so many factors: political, what's happening in the news, politics, the media, the zeitgeist in general. People, it just changes, and that's always the way it will be. It's always going to be in motion. So, you just got to kind of attention to what's happening and then pattern yourself after that. And I would say you're going to have a demo, and demos need to be refreshed about every 3 years because the landscape changes so quickly that a demo that you did 5 years is not going to sound fresh and current. So it's important to be aware of that. As a voice actor, you have to be aware of who's getting booked, who's getting hired, uh, age range, ethnicity, male, female, non-binary. All that stuff comes into play. So you need to be aware of what's out there, who's getting booked, and then kind of imitate that to a degree. You can, use your own voice and be your own self, but you have to know what's happening out there in the market in order to be competitive and adapt.
Oh, yeah. And on the subject of impressions, I will say that um, I know that people make a living off of voice matching and like if a celebrity isn't available or if the original actor is unavailable, then they hire somebody else to voice match or to fill in for a couple of lines that they didn't do. I think for me, um, finding something like it could be a pre-existing like character or performance that inspires you and then make a few tweaks to it and then boom you just have an original character. I've heard that if you do it doesn't have to be exactly spot on, but if you do like honoring the original actor and molding it into your own unique, and then tweak and twist it around a little bit, then you kind of have a character of your own. It's just there is some, like, I know that this has been talked about, like, online with like on the subject of, like, doing impressions of, like, pre-existing characters. I know that kind of sort of gets frowned upon from what I understand, but at the same time though, it's fine if you could take something and then make it your own. So it's not like a complete copy of the original.
Well,
If
if your voice,
that's
if you're doing a voice match, they want you to sound like the celebrity or the cartoon
Yeah.
character. So, and that's important. If you can't do the voice match, that's not the gig for you. Recently, I think I had a J.K. Simmons, the guy that played Spider-Man from Peter Parker way back when. Spider-Man's a menace. Got to get him out of there. He's a bad guy. He wears a mask. Why is he wearing a mask? I had to
Yeah.
do a couple of lines for a trailer, and I don't think I got the gig, but I got the audition for it. So I did the J.K. Simmons sort of pickup lines that he missed or did not do, and that had to sound like him. So there are times when you're trying to match an existing voice print or a character, and that could be a celebrity, it could be a cartoon character, in which case it's very important that you really sound like that character. If you're doing like an homage to a character, like something Paul Frees esque, but not Paul Frees, that's
Yeah.
perfectly fine too. There's a whole spectrum of voiceover work out there. Some of it entails you being an impressionist, some just having a good voice, and sometimes just your ability to act. A lot of times audiobooks are, it's a narrator with one voice, but if he does it well and he's able to emote and bring you into the story, that's a great talent. So there's all kinds of ways in, and all kinds of things that can make you money. Make if you can sing, if you can do voices, if you can do straight narration, that's a good thing.
hmm So you mentioned that you joined SAG-AFTRA. So what are the requirements? I know that people were just
Well,
interested in joining the union, so this is just advice for people that want to get into it.
yeah, there's two ways to join SAG-AFTRA. You can join as a FICOR member, and they will discourage that. FICOR is financial core, and that means you get all the benefits of being in the union, but you can work non-union gigs and union work. And the other way is just to join SAG-AFTRA directly. It's about the same money. I'm going to say around $3,000 to join. And I was a must join because Shaq was a union talent, and I could not do the voice of the general unless I joined. So I had to figure out, how to do it, and it was very easy, really. Once I called them and just explained the situation, they're like, "Okay, here's what we're going to do, and here's how you do it." But the benefits of being a union member, if you're doing a union gig, are tremendous. You're getting residuals. So every 14 days, I would get checks in the mailbox, and they would be a substantial amount of money. It's a wonderful thing. It doesn't happen very often. Those Class A national commercials don't always. They're few and far between. But when you get them, it is a windfall and a boon, and it you know just makes your life that much easier.
Yeah. Um, and I guess with all of this in mind, where do you see everything moving forward in the future?
It's impossible to really tell. AI, people are talking about it. They're like, oh,
Oh
what are we going to
yeah.
do? AI is coming, it's taking over. I've heard a lot of the AI stuff. Some of it's okay, but you can tell it's a machine, it's mechanical right now. Now, that'll probably change within 5, 10 years, maybe not even that long. They'll be able to get the thing to emote. If you want it to sound like, Ryan Reynolds, you probably could tweak it and dial it in and get it to sound like Ryan Reynolds. But who knows? It's almost impossible to tell. As I was saying earlier, the medium is always in flux, always changing and moving. It's like the surface of the ocean. There's waves and eddies, and it's dipping down and coming back up. So everything old is new again, and I'm hearing that right now. A lot of this stuff sounds like that I'm hearing on television, in particular, and radio. sounds like stuff you would hear in the 1980s. Some of it's ironic with an announcer. Other times it's genuine. It's intended to be that way, and they're trying to capture that audience. I think I think for a lot of people that are maybe over 50, that kind of voice is comforting. When they're hearing voices that they remember from their childhood, it makes them feel good. And if you're trying to influence somebody to make a buying decision to buy a product or a service, when they're hearing those voices that sound familiar to them and comforting, it just gives them the warm fuzzies inside. It makes it easier for them to make a decision to buy. You're manipulating people when you're doing commercial reads. Do something, and it's up to you to use your voice and your words and your emotion to bring that to life.
Mm, yeah, that is so true. So, yeah, is there anything else that you'd like to talk about? Any upcoming stuff, that you can disclose as of right now, because we don't want you to breach
Sure.
NDA or anything. Yeah,
No, I'm not going to violate any NDAs. I have
yeah.
a teaching session coming up here on Livo March 7th. That's next Tuesday. I think from 7 to 9, I'm going to be doing a class on children's audiobooks. I think it's sold out, but there are spots left. So if you want to go to livetakeover.com, I think you can still sign up and be an audit spot. That means you can watch. I don't think you're able to participate, but you'll, if I can do it, I'll make sure everybody gets scripts, even those people that are in the audit spots. And then after the fact, you can record that and send it to me. I'll review the audio and know what you did right, what you did wrong, or maybe where you need some improvement, or go from there. So I've got that coming up March 7th. Um, I would say go to my website. It's richardsellers.com, and you can check out a lot of the products and commercials that I've done. I also offer coaching for VO talent. I do 1 hour sessions via Zoom, very much like this, and we pick a subject. You can do animation, you can do character voices, you can do commercial reads, you can do audiobook, you can do in-show narration, corporate narration, whatever VO, whatever form of VO you're into, I can help you with. So, because I've pretty much done everything, I think, even trailer voices. I did one as the general for, I think it was Uncle. It wasn't Uncle Buck. It was another one that Shaq was in. It was Uncle. I can't remember. Look it up. You'll find it. But it was a good time, and I had fun and all kinds of cool stuff. So I'm here to help if anybody should require that. And then I also do a podcast called Talking Voiceovers, where I interview top talent all over the country and engineers, audio people, technical people, talent, and I find out about how they got where they came from, and and became a superstar and all that good stuff. So, uh, if you want help or you want to reach out to me, I'm always available, and I'm easy to work with and very friendly. So there you go.
Awesome. So, any last advice or any closing thoughts that you want
Uh,
to
I would
give?
say if you want to get into voiceover, be a good actor. So take an acting class. You can find stuff online. You can go to YouTube and look at some Stella Adler acting videos on how to act and how to perform. Buy a book or take an improv class. Improv is incredibly helpful. If you're in a session and the director or the engineer is like, "What else you got? You got any ideas?" If you can kind of quickly kind of jump from one idea to another and wow them, you'll get a call back because they'll be impressed, especially if you can do different voices and different characters. So the more versatile you are, the better actor you are, the more dedicated and committed you are to the VO world, the more money you're going to make, and the more successful you'll be.
Yeah. And where can people find you?
I'm on social media all over the place. I mean, Rick Sellers on Facebook, or Instagram. I think I'm at Rick's Voices. Twitter, the same thing. Um, Again, I do the podcast, and we have a YouTube channel, or you can go anywhere you get Apple Podcast, Podcast One, wherever you can find us. It's talkingvoiceovers.com. So look for it, hit like and subscribe. It's free. You may as well. And there's a wealth of information in each episode. for voice actors to kind of pick over and make their own. So I would say check it out.
Well, thank you so much, Rick, for stopping by. It's been a huge honor getting to chat with you about, the business and the industry and just general fun topics.
Yeah,
I think that we've had a good little discussion today.
absolutely. I had fun. Robert, thank you so much. And the name of your podcast is
Station Square.
Station Square. And where can people find it at?
They can find it on SoundCloud, Spotify, on my YouTube channel, just pretty much most of the podcast streaming stuff.
Very good. Well, go and check out Robert podcasts and check out mine, and then learn all you can learn and become a talented VO and make lots of money. How's that?
Bingo. With that
All right.
said, yep, all right.
All right, my friend. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful day.
You too. And
All
to
right.
anybody who's watched this, thank you so much, and I'll see you all next time on Station Square. Peace out, y'all. Bye.
Bye bye. Thanks,
Bye.
Robert. I'll see you.
Thank you so much. See ya.